Chapter 1. Returning to the marriage proposal. Miss, it's terrible. That penniless scholar Luyan has really come to our Shen residence with betrothal gifts to propose. The sharp voice pierced through the haze. Shen Qingyuan's eyes snapped open, meeting the familiar sight of her carved canopy bed, the scent of her usual orchid incense lingering in the air. The maid before her, Qinghe, wore an expression of acute anxiety and disgust, sweat beading on her temples from running. Shen Qingyuan was stunned. Hadn't she just breathed her last, lying on a cold sickbed in a neglected side courtyard 20 years later? The memories from her deathbed were vivid as yesterday. Tattered window paper failing to block the bitter wind, thin blankets offering no warmth, coughing fits that felt like tearing her lungs apart, and not a single cup of warm water to be had. In the entire vast Shen estate, no one had come to see her. Her parents, whose favoritism ran to the bone, had eyes and hearts only for Suruan, who had been raised in the estate since her parents' early death. Frail and sickly, Suruan, with her pitiful, delicate act, had stolen all their affection. They would often say, "If only Ruaner were our daughter," forgetting that Shen Qingyuan was their actual flesh and blood. It wasn't until her final moment that someone finally pushed open that dilapidated door. It was Luyan, the man she had publicly humiliated and ordered beaten with sticks on the day he came to propose. By then, he was no longer the penniless scholar, but a powerful grand tutor with immense influence at court. Yet dressed in plain clothes, he had come personally. He walked to her bedside, knelt down, his voice unbearably hoarse. She couldn't see his face clearly, only felt a scalding tear drop onto her cheek. The moment that tear fell, her breath ceased entirely. Miss, what's wrong?" Qinghe, seeing her unmoving, pushed her slightly. "Everyone's outside watching the spectacle. They all say you'll definitely drive Luyan out and thoroughly humiliate him." Shen Qingyuan jolted back to reality, raising her hand to touch her cheek. Just below the corner of her eye, she indeed felt a tiny red mole. That was where his tear had fallen. So she hadn't died. She had come back to the day Luyan came to propose. In her past life, following Qinghe's words, she had stormed out in a rage, pointed at Luyan's nose, berated him, called him a toad lusting after swan meat, ordered his meager betrothal gifts thrown out, and had him beaten black and blue. That day, she became the laughingstock of the entire capital, and Luyan, the target of everyone's mockery. Later, she learned she was merely the vicious supporting character in a Mary Sue novel. Her existence was to set off the kindness and fragility of the female lead, Suruan, and to create trouble for Suruan and the male lead's relationship. Luyan wasn't even a character from the book, he was real. Yet, because of her humiliation, his life's path had been completely derailed, wasting many years. Even so, in the end, he had come to see her off. A glint of resolve flashed in Shen Qingyuan's eyes. In this life, she would no longer be that spoiled, willful, manipulated villainess, nor would she repeat the mistakes of her past. She would change her fate. "What's the panic for?" Shen Qingyuan pushed back the covers, her tone so calm it stunned Qinghe. "Prepare my clothes, I'll go out and see." Qinghe was dumbfounded. "Miss, aren't you angry? That Luyan is a destitute nobody. The betrothal gifts he brought aren't even worth 10 taels of silver combined. How is he worthy of you?" "Worthy or not isn't for you to decide," Shen Qingyuan said coolly, giving her a glance that sent an inexplicable chill down Qinghe's spine. Soon, Shen Qingyuan changed into a water-green dress, styled her hair simply, wore no powder or rouge, yet her clear, beautiful features were undeniable. Holding her skirt, she walked step by step out of the inner courtyard. Outside the main gate of the Shen residence, a crowd of onlookers had indeed gathered, whispering and pointing. Look, Miss Shen is coming out." "Just wait, there's bound to be a scene. Miss Shen is famously temperamental. How could she possibly accept a poor scholar's proposal? I bet 5 taels she'll throw Luyan's gifts out." At the center of the crowd stood a young man with a tall, straight posture. He wore a faded, coarse blue robe, a cloth bundle slung over his shoulder, and held a small wooden box. It was Luyan. His face held a touch of awkwardness, but his eyes were clear, his back straight, without a hint of servility. Facing the pointing and whispering around him, he seemed not to hear, standing there quietly, waiting for the Shen family's response. Shen Qingyuan walked to the entrance. Her gaze passed over the crowd and settled on Luyan. The surrounding chatter instantly died down. Everyone watched her, waiting for her outburst. Qingye stood behind her, ready to call for help at any moment. Luyan also looked up. Their eyes met. His gaze held no expectation, only a trace of resignation and distance. He, too, was convinced she would refuse, even humiliate him. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Shen Qingyuan suddenly smiled. Her smile was bright, like spring sunshine, dispelling all hostility. Luyan, she spoke, her voice clear and gentle, cutting through the crowd to reach Luyan's ears. I accept your betrothal gifts. One sentence, earth-shattering. The scene fell into dead silence. The onlookers gaped, unable to believe their ears. Qinghe simply stood there dumbstruck, muttering, Miss, what did you say? Luyan was also stunned, his eyes filled with shock, thinking he had misheard. Shen Qingyuan took 2 steps forward, stopping before Luyan. She repeated, I said, I accept the gifts. Luyan, be prepared to marry me. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried undeniable firmness. The crowd erupted. Heavens, Miss Shen actually agreed? How is this possible? She's the one who most despises the poor. Did I remember wrong, or has Miss Shen changed? Luyan recovered, his Adam's apple bobbing, his voice a bit dry. Miss Shen, you know my family is poor. I cannot give you a life of luxury. I know, Shen Qingyuan nodded, her gaze sincere. It's not your family background I value, but you as a person. I believe you are no ordinary man. One day you will rise above. In her past life, though Luyan was set back for years after her humiliation, he eventually, through his own talent, passed the imperial examinations step by step, and ultimately rose to the position of Grand Tutor. Unfortunately, by then she was terminally ill, never to see him again. This life, she would be the one to pull him up from his low point, not push him down. Luyan looked into her clear eyes, finding no mockery or disdain, only trust and resolve. His heart stirred inexplicably. Good, he nodded heavily, his expression turning utterly serious. Miss Shen, today you believe in me. In the future, I, Luyan, will never let you down. I will make wedding preparations as soon as possible and marry you with proper ceremony. Shen Qingyuan smiled. Good, I'll wait for you. Then she turned and instructed the steward behind her. Steward Zhang, accept young Master Lu's gifts and see to his proper reception. Steward Zhang was also in shock but snapped to attention at her order. Yes, young miss. Luyan handed the cloth bundle and wooden box to Steward Zhang, then bowed to Shen Qingyuan. Miss Shen, I shall return to make preparations and visit again another day. Good. Luyan turned and, under the crowd's complex gazes, walked away with his back straight. Only when his figure disappeared around the street corner did the crowd erupt again into noisy discussion before gradually dispersing. Qinghe finally reacted, pulling Shen Qingyuan's sleeve anxiously. Miss, how could you really agree? That Luyan is just a poor scholar. If you marry him, you'll suffer in the future. When Master and Madam return, they'll be furious. Shen Qingyuan patted her hand, her tone calm. So what if they're angry? This is my marriage. I decide for myself. She knew her parents would surely make a scene upon their return, but she was no longer the Shen Qingyuan of her past life who would compromise herself over her parents' attitudes. This life she would live for herself. Just as she entered the main gate, she saw a frail figure hurrying over. It was Su Ruan. Su Ruan wore a moon-white dress, her complexion slightly pale, her eyes filled with concern. Sister, I heard young Master Lu came to propose? You really agreed? Shen Qingyuan looked at her hypocritical display and inwardly sneered. In her past life, it was this Su Ruan who sowed discord before her parents, speaking ill of her, making them increasingly disappointed in her. Yes, I agreed, Shen Qingyuan said flatly, without a trace of emotion. Su Ruan was taken aback, seemingly not expecting such a direct admission. She bit her lip, her eyes slightly reddening. Sister, how could you be so foolish? Young Master Lu's family is not well off. You'll suffer if you marry him. Father and mother will be heartbroken if they find out. My affairs don't require your concern, sister, Shen Qingyuan said coolly, glancing at her. You should worry about yourself. With that, she ignored Su Ruan and turned to walk straight back to her own courtyard. Su Ruan stood in place, watching her retreating back, a flash of venom in her eyes. She hadn't expected the always spoiled and willful Shen Qingyuan to suddenly change her tune and agree to Lu Yan's proposal. No, she had to find a way to stop this. Chapter 2, Parental Wrath. Shen Qingyuan had barely sat down in her courtyard when she heard hurried footsteps from outside, accompanied by her parents' angry shouts. That wretched girl Shen Qingyuan. Has she lost her mind? She actually agreed to a poor scholar's proposal. It was her father, Shen Hongyuan's voice. Then her mother, Madame Liu's voice followed. Heavens above, if this gets out, our Shen family's face will be utterly lost. No, this marriage absolutely cannot happen. Shen Qingyuan picked up the teacup on the table, took a small sip, her expression calm. What was coming would come. Soon, Shen Hongyuan and Madame Liu stormed into her courtyard in a rage. Su Ruan followed behind them, head bowed, wearing an expression of worry and fear. Shen Qingyuan, come out here. Shen Hongyuan yelled towards the room as soon as he entered. Shen Qingyuan put down her cup and walked out slowly. Father, mother, you're back. You know we're back? Madame Liu stepped forward, pointing at her nose, trembling with anger. Tell me, are the rumors outside true? Did you really agree to that poor scholar Lu Yan's proposal? It's true, Shen Qingyuan nodded, her tone matter-of-fact. You wretched girl! Shen Hongyuan's face flushed red with anger, his hand raised to strike her. Shen Qingyuan didn't dodge, just looked at him calmly. Father, go ahead and hit me. But even if you beat me to death, I won't change my mind. Shen Hongyuan's hand halted midair. Seeing the resolve in her eyes, his heart inexplicably faltered. He realized today's Shen Qingyuan seemed different from before. In the past, she would cry and cower whenever he got angry, never daring to defy him like this. Madame Liu, seeing this, quickly tugged Shen Hongyuan's sleeve and scolded Shen Qingyuan. You foolish girl. The older you get, the more disobedient you become. Who is that Lu Yan? A destitute scholar who can't even support himself. If you marry him, will you drink the northwest wind in the future? I believe Lu Yan has the ability to give me a good life, Shen Qingyuan said. Moreover, in matters of marriage, mutual affection is what matters, not the wealth of one's family. Mutual affection? Madame Liu scoffed. How many times have you even met him? What mutual affection? I think you've been blinded. Mother, I am very clear-headed, Shen Qingyuan said, looking at her word by word. I know what I am doing. Clear-headed? If you were clear-headed, you wouldn't do such a shameful thing. Shen Hongyuan finally recovered his voice, roaring angrily. I'm telling you, I will absolutely not agree to this marriage. You must return Lu Yan's gifts. Make it clear to him that your previous words were just a joke. Impossible, Shen Qingyuan shook her head. I have already accepted the gifts, and my word is given. A promise is a promise. Since I, Shen Qingyuan, have agreed, I will not go back on it. You. Shen Hongyuan was so angry he was speechless, pointing at her, finally choking out, Fine, fine. If you insist on marrying him, then don't call us father and mother anymore. Our Shen family has no such disgraceful daughter. Madame Liu also started wailing. Yes, if you marry him, we'll act as if we never had this daughter. Don't come crying to us when you suffer outside in the future. Shen Qingyuan's heart still twinged with pain. In her past life, they had treated her the same way. When she needed care the most, they chose Su Ruan. When she was gravely ill, they wouldn't even glance her way. This life, she had merely chosen the marriage she wanted, and they were ready to disown her again. But she would no longer be like her past self, crying heartbreakingly and begging pitifully because of their words. Shen Qingyuan took a deep breath, her tone still calm. Since that's what you say, then I have nothing more to add. But my stance remains. I will marry Lu Yan. From now on, my affairs are my own responsibility. I will not trouble you further. You. Both Shen Hongyuan and Madame Liu were infuriated. At this moment, Su Ruan chose to speak up. She tugged Madame Liu's sleeve, saying softly, Mother, don't be angry. Sister must have had a momentary lapse in judgment. Talk to her properly, and she'll understand. Then she looked at Shen Qingyuan, her eyes reddening. Sister, please listen to father and mother. Young Master Lu may be a good person, but his family is truly too poor. Father and mother only want what's best for you. They don't want you to suffer. For my own good? Shen Qingyuan sneered, looking at Su Ruan. Sister, are you really doing this for my good? Or are you afraid that if I marry Lu Yan, no one will be your stepping stone anymore? Suruan's face paled, and she quickly lowered her head. Sister, how can you say that about me? I'm only concerned for you. Concerned for me. Shen Qingyuan pressed on. Then let me ask you, the other day, was it you who told father and mother that I deliberately knocked over your medicine? Was it you who said I stole your jewelry? Suruan's body trembled slightly, her eyes shifting. I didn't. Didn't? Shen Qingyuan sneered. Should I call the maid who served you that day to confront you? Suruan turned even paler, tears instantly falling. Sister, I really didn't. How can you wrong me like this? Madame Lu, seeing this, immediately shielded Suruan, scolding Shen Qingyuan. Shen Qingyuan, that's enough. Ruaner is so kind. How could she say such things? It must be you who did wrong and now wants to frame Ruaner. I knew it. No matter what I say, you won't believe me. Shen Qingyuan's heart turned completely cold. Since that's the case, we have nothing more to discuss. My mind is made up about this marriage. If you really dislike it so much, once I marry him, I simply won't return to the Shen estate. With that, she no longer looked at them, turned, walked into her room, and closed the door. Shen Qingyuan and Madame Lu stomped outside in fury, but were powerless. Suruan stood to the side, wiping her tears, but a hint of triumph flashed in her eyes. This was exactly the effect she wanted, to make Shen Qingyuan and her parents completely fall out so her parents would dote on her even more and detest Shen Qingyuan even more. After a while, Shen Qingyuan finally caught his breath and said, No, this marriage absolutely cannot happen. Tomorrow, I'll go to Luyan's house, return the gifts, and make it clear to him that he should give up. Madame Lu nodded. Yes, they must be returned. Even if we have to force it, we can't let Qingyuan marry him. After cursing and complaining some more, they finally left with Suruan. Inside the room, Shen Qingyuan leaned against the door panel, listening to the fading footsteps outside, her eyes devoid of any emotion. She knew her parents would surely try to break off the engagement, but she wouldn't let them succeed. She walked to the table, picked up paper and brush, and wrote a letter. Then she called for Qinghe. Qinghe was still upset about her agreeing to the proposal, but entered respectfully. Miss, you called for me? Take this letter to the Lu residence and hand it personally to Lu Yan. Shen Qingyuan handed her the letter. Qinghe was taken aback. Miss, why are you writing to that poor scholar? Just do as I say. Shen Qingyuan's tone brooked no argument. Remember, you must hand it personally to Lu Yan. Don't let anyone else see it. Although reluctant, Qinghe took the letter. Yes, miss. Watching Qinghe leave, Shen Qingyuan narrowed her eyes slightly. In the letter, she told Lu Yan that her parents might try to break off the engagement and that he should prepare in advance. She also reminded him about an upcoming literary gathering hosted by a high official in the capital, urging him to attend without fail, as it was a great opportunity to showcase his talent. In her past life, Lu Yan had missed this gathering, setting him back several years. This life, she would help him seize this chance. She believed that if Lu Yan could stand out at the gathering and gain that official's favor, her parents wouldn't dare oppose their marriage so easily anymore. Chapter 3. Standing out at the literary gathering. Qinghe, holding the letter with great reluctance, arrived at the Lu residence. The Lu residence was small, just an ordinary courtyard with a few vegetable plants growing inside, clear evidence of poverty. She knocked on the door. After a while, Lu Yan opened it. You are? Lu Yan, seeing Qinghe, looked puzzled. I'm Qinghe, a maid from the Shen residence. I'm here on my young Mrs. orders to deliver a letter to you. Qinghe handed him the letter, her tone laced with disdain. Lu Yan took the letter, seeing the familiar handwriting on the envelope, his eyes brightening slightly. He nodded to Qinghe. Thank you, Miss Qinghe. Humph, Qinghe snorted, turned, and left, not wanting to stay a second longer. Lu Yan closed the door and quickly returned to his room, opening the letter. After reading its contents, his eyes filled with shock and gratitude. He hadn't expected Shen Qingyuan to care about him to this extent, even specially reminding him about the literary gathering. He originally hadn't planned to attend. First, his family was poor. He had no presentable clothes, and going would only invite ridicule. Second, he felt his talent wasn't sufficient yet and didn't want to embarrass himself. But Shen Qingyuan's letter changed his mind. Shen Qingyuan trusted him so much. He couldn't let her down. Moreover, he wanted to prove himself, to show he had the ability to make her happy. Luyan clenched the letter, his eyes becoming unwavering. He must attend the gathering and give his best to stand out. Early the next morning, Shen Qingyuan indeed arrived at the Lu residence with the steward, furious. "Luyan, come out here!" Shen Qingyuan pounded on the door. Luyan opened the door. Seeing Shen Qingyuan, he was mentally prepared. He said calmly, "Master Shen, what brings you here?" "What brings me? Of course it's important." Shen Qingyuan threw a bundle at his feet. "These are the betrothal gifts you sent yesterday. I'm returning them. Take your things and leave, and don't bother my daughter again." Luyan looked at the bundle on the ground, but didn't bend to pick it up. Instead, he looked at Shen Qingyuan and said calmly, "Master Shen, once gifts are given, there's no taking them back. Qingyuan and I have an agreement. I will marry her." "An agreement? A destitute scholar like you is worthy of an agreement with my daughter?" Shen Qingyuan scoffed. "I'm telling you, my daughter is a famous young lady of the capital. She should marry nobility, not someone like you who's utterly unworthy." "Worthy or not isn't for you to decide, Master Shen, nor is it a matter of family background," Luyan said. "I know my family is poor now, but I will strive. One day, I will let Qingyuan live a good life." "Strive? What good is your striving?" Shen Qingyuan said disdainfully. "I've seen plenty of poor scholars like you, all wanting to soar to great heights, but ending up accomplishing nothing. I advise you to give up and not ruin my daughter's future." "Master Shen, I know you don't believe me now," Luyan's tone remained calm, "but please give me some time. I will prove it to you. In 3 days, there's a literary gathering in the western part of the city. I will attend. Then I will show you that I, Luyan, am not the failure you think." Shen Qingyuan was taken aback, then sneered. "A literary gathering? You? You want to attend? Let me tell you, those attending are all talented scholars of repute in the capital. You'd only humiliate yourself." "Whether it's humiliation or not, we'll see then," Luyan said. "If in 3 days I can gain Lord Li's favor at the gathering, I ask that you retract your opposition and allow Qingyuan and me to be together." Lord Li was the vice minister of rights in the capital and the host of this gathering, highly regarded by the emperor. If Luyan could truly gain Lord Li's favor, his future would be limitless. Shen Qingyuan's heart stirred slightly, but he still said stubbornly, "Fine, I'll give you this chance. If in 3 days you can indeed gain Lord Li's favor, I'll consider your marriage with Qingyuan. But if not, you must give up completely." "Good, it's a deal," Luyan nodded. Shen Qingyuan snorted coldly and left with the steward. Luyan bent down, picked up the bundle from the ground, and returned to his room. He knew this was his only chance. He had to seize it. For the next 3 days, Luyan secluded himself, studying day and night, meticulously preparing his work for the gathering. Shen Qingyuan wasn't idle either. She knew her parents wouldn't give up easily and would likely try something at the gathering. So she had Qinghe inquire about the gathering in advance and prepared some silver, just in case. Qinghe still didn't understand why her young miss was helping Luyan so much, but obediently followed orders. Over these past few days, she realized her young miss seemed truly changed, no longer spoiled and willful, but becoming steady and decisive. On the day of the literary gathering, the Li residence in the western part of the city was bustling. Those attending were all famous, talented scholars of the capital, along with some nobles and officials. Dressed in splendid clothes, they chatted and laughed, a lively scene. Luyan, wearing his faded coarse blue robe, stood among the crowd, looking out of place. Many pointed and whispered about him. "Who is that? Dressed so shabbily he dares to attend Lord Li's gathering?" "He's called Luyan. I heard he proposed at the Shen residence, and Miss Shen actually agreed." "Oh, that poor scholar? How could Miss Shen fancy him? I really don't understand." Luyan paid no mind, quietly finding a corner to sit and wait for the gathering to begin. Soon, Lord Li came out and the gathering officially started. The topic for this gathering was on family, state, and the world. The scholars all picked up their brushes and began composing. Luyan closed his eyes, pondered for a moment. He thought of his own background, of Shen Qingyuan's trust, of the hardships of the common people. Quickly, he had an idea, picked up his brush, and began writing fervently. His handwriting was strong and forceful. His essay, well structured with clear arguments and unique perspectives, filled throughout with a sense of responsibility and mission towards family, state, and the world. Meanwhile, Shen Qingyuan and Madame Liu had also come. They found seats and fixed their eyes on Lu Yan, hoping he would make a fool of himself. Su Ruan came too, wearing a beautiful pink dress, flitting through the crowd, chatting and laughing with various young masters and ladies, enjoying everyone's attention. Soon, the allotted time was up. The scholars stopped writing and handed in their works. Lord Li personally reviewed the pieces, his expression growing increasingly serious. After a while, Lord Li finally looked up, his gaze sweeping over the crowd, finally landing on Lu Yan. "Gentlemen," Lord Li's voice was resonant. "Among the works at this gathering, one piece truly caught my eye. This essay has unique perspectives, fluent writing, and is filled with deep sentiment for family, state, and the world. I declare the first place of this gathering goes to Lu Yan." As soon as the words fell, the hall erupted in an uproar. Everyone was incredulous, all eyes turning to Lu Yan. Shen Qingyuan and Madame Liu were so shocked their mouths hung open, their expressions utterly unpleasant. Su Ruan's face instantly turned pale. She never imagined Lu Yan could actually win first place. Lu Yan stood up and bowed to Lord Li. "Thank you for your favor, Lord Li." Lord Li nodded with satisfaction. "Lu Yan, you have remarkable talent. Might you be willing to become my disciple and study under me?" This statement made the hall boil over again. To become Lord Li's disciple was akin to having one foot in the officialdom with a limitless future. Lu Yan's eyes were filled with excitement. He bowed again to Lord Li. "This student is willing. Thank you, Lord Li, for your guidance." Lord Li smiled. "Good. From today, you are my disciple." After the gathering ended, Lu Yan instantly became the focus of attention. Many nobles and officials actively approached him to converse and curry favor. Shen Qingyuan and Madame Liu stood to the side, their faces alternating between green and white. They hadn't expected Lu Yan to be so talented and to have gained Lord Li's favor. Madame Liu tugged Shen Qingyuan's sleeve, whispering, "Master, what do we do now? Lu Yan has become Lord Li's disciple. His future is boundless. Would it be unwise for us to continue opposing Qingyuan's marriage to him?" Shen Qingyuan frowned, not speaking. He was conflicted. On one hand, he still thought Lu Yan's family too poor. On the other, he didn't want to offend Lord Li. Just then, Lu Yan walked over and bowed to Shen Qingyuan and Madame Liu. "Master Shen, Madame Shen." Shen Qingyuan snorted coldly, not speaking. Madame Liu forced a smile. "Young Master Liu, congratulations." "Thank you, Madame Shen," Lu Yan said. "Master Shen, as we agreed, if I gained Lord Li's favor, please grant your permission for Qingyuan and me." Shen Qingyuan's face darkened further, but at this point, he had no other choice. He grunted, "Since you have gained Lord Li's favor, I will no longer oppose your marriage. But the wedding cannot be too extravagant, as you have no official position yet." "Thank you, Master Shen, for your permission." Lu Yan's face broke into a smile. "Regarding the wedding scale, I will discuss it with Qingyuan and not cause trouble for the Shen estate." Shen Qingyuan said no more, turned and left with Madame Liu and Su Ruan. Su Ruan walked at the back, glancing back at Lu Yan, her eyes filled with resentment and venom. She hadn't expected Lu Yan to rise so quickly. No, she couldn't let Shen Qingyuan marry Lu Yan so smoothly. Chapter 4. Su Ruan's Scheme. The news that Lu Yan had gained Lord Li's favor and received Shen Qingyuan's consent for his marriage to Shen Qingyuan quickly spread throughout the capital. Hearing this, Shen Qingyuan's face showed a relieved smile. She knew Lu Yan wouldn't let her down. Qingya also completely changed her view of Lu Yan, saying excitedly, "Miss, you really have an eye for talent. Young Master Lu actually gained Lord Li's favor. He's bound to achieve great things in the future." Shen Qingyuan smiled. "I just believed in him." Not long after, Lu Yan came to visit. This time, it was to discuss wedding arrangements with Shen Qingyuan. The two sat at the stone table in the courtyard, conversing happily. "Qingyuan, how about setting the wedding for a month from now?" Lu Yan asked. "Good, whatever you decide," Shen Qingyuan nodded. "I won't make it overly extravagant, but I won't shortchange you either," Lu Yan said. "I've already asked Lord Li to help me find a courtyard in the capital. It's not large, but after tidying up, it should be comfortable to live in." Shen Qingyuan smiled and nodded. I don't care about the size of the house, as long as I'm with you. Lu Yan looked at her bright smile, warmth filling his heart. He took her hand and said earnestly, Qingyuan, thank you. Thank you for choosing to believe in me and marry me when I was at my lowest. I will treat you well in the future and never let you suffer any grievance. Shen Qingyuan's heart beat a little faster. She withdrew her hand, her cheeks slightly flushed. I believe you. They chatted a while longer before Lu Yan left. Watching Lu Yan's retreating figure, Shen Qingyuan's heart filled with anticipation. She looked forward to starting a new life with Lu Yan. However, she hadn't expected that Suruan hadn't given up and was still plotting in secret. Suruan knew Lu Yan was no longer the same as before. She couldn't easily sow discord like she used to. So she thought of a more vicious plan. She knew Lord Li valued reputation above all. If Lu Yan's reputation were tarnished before the wedding, Lord Li would surely be angry and might even sever their master-disciple ties. Then, Shen Qingyuan would oppose the marriage again. So, Suruan began secretly looking for people to fabricate rumors about Lu Yan. She found a scholar who had a past grievance with Lu Yan, gave him some silver, and had him spread rumors that Lu Yan had a flawed character and had once harassed a respectable woman. That scholar, taking the silver, immediately acted. Soon, rumors about Lu Yan's poor character spread throughout the capital. Have you heard? That Lu Yan, he looks honest on the surface, but actually his character is flawed. He once harassed a respectable woman. Really, isn't he Lord Li's disciple? How could he do such a thing? It must be true. I heard the woman even tried to lodge a complaint, but because Lu Yan was too poor at the time, no one paid attention. The rumors grew wilder, and many began to believe them. When Shen Qingyuan and Madame Liu heard these rumors, they were furious. I knew that Lu Yan was no good to do such a vile thing. Shen Qingyuan roared angrily. This marriage absolutely cannot happen. I'm going to summon Lu Yan right now and get to the bottom of this. Madame Liu agreed. Yes, we must get to the bottom of it. If it's true, we absolutely cannot let Qingyuan marry him. They immediately sent someone to summon Lu Yan. When Shen Qingyuan heard the rumors, she was also anxious. She knew it must be Suruan's doing. She immediately had someone investigate and soon found out it was the scholar with the grudge who spread the rumors, and behind him was Suruan. A cold glint flashed in Shen Qingyuan's eyes. Suruan, you've gone too far. Just then, Lu Yan arrived. As soon as he entered, he felt Shen Qingyuan and Madame Liu's icy gazes. Lu Yan, tell me, are the rumors outside true? Did you really harass a respectable woman? Shen Qingyuan demanded angrily. Lu Yan was taken aback, then understood. He frowned and said calmly, Master Shen, this is absolutely a rumor. I have never done such a thing. Rumor? Shen Qingyuan scoffed. The entire capital is talking about it. You call it a rumor? Who would believe you? I can swear, Lu Yan raised his hand. If I truly did such a thing, may I be struck by lightning and die a wretched death. What good is swearing? Madame Liu said. Now everyone knows. Our Shen family's face is completely lost because of you. We will absolutely not agree to this marriage. Master Shen, madam, someone is deliberately framing me, Lu Yan said. I know who is behind this. I will get to the truth. Get to the truth? Even if you find the truth, your reputation is already ruined, Shen Qingyuan said. Lord Li values reputation so much. If he learns of this, he'll surely sever ties with you. You'll be finished. At that moment, Shen Qingyuan walked out. Father, mother, please calm down first. Qingyuan, don't defend him, Madame Liu said. For him to do such a thing, he's utterly unworthy of you. Mother, I believe Lu Yan did not do such a thing, Shen Qingyuan said. Someone is deliberately framing him. Someone framing him? Who would frame him? Shen Qingyuan asked. Shen Qingyuan looked at Suruan, who stood to the side pretending to be worried, and said coldly, As for who framed him, I think Sister Suruan knows best. All eyes turned to Suruan. Suruan's face paled, and she quickly shook her head. Sister, how? How can you suspect me? I didn't. You didn't, Shen Qingyuan sneered. I've already investigated. You gave that scholar who had a grievance with Lu Yan some silver to spread the rumors. Suruan, why did you do this? Suruan's body trembled slightly, her eyes shifting. I really didn't. Sister, you must be mistaken. Mistaken? Shen Qingyuan took out a piece of paper and handed it to Shen Qingyuan and Madame Liu. This is the evidence I had someone gather. It has the scholar's confession and the proof of you giving him silver. Father, mother, see for yourselves." Shen Qingyuan and Madame Liu took the paper and read it carefully. The more they read, the uglier their expressions became. So, all of this was Su Ruan's doing. Madame Liu looked up, furious at Su Ruan. "Ruaner, you've disappointed us so much. How could you do such a thing?" Shen Qingyuan also said angrily, "No wonder you always opposed Qingyuan and Luyan's marriage. You were plotting behind the scenes, you scheming woman." Su Ruan, scared, her legs gave way, and she knelt on the ground, crying. "Father, mother, I was wrong. I didn't mean to. I was just too worried about sister. I was afraid sister would suffer if she married him, so in a moment of foolishness, I did this." "Worried about me?" Shen Qingyuan sneered. "You're worried that if I marry into a good family, no one will be your stepping stone anymore, right? Su Ruan, don't think I don't know you've always been spreading rumors about me in front of father and mother, making them dislike me." "I didn't," Su Ruan continued to deny. "You didn't?" Shen Qingyuan said. "Should I call the maid who served you before to confront you?" Su Ruan was too scared to speak, just kept crying. Shen Qingyuan and Madame Liu looked at her like this, feeling both angry and resentful. They had always thought Su Ruan was a kind, frail child, never imagining she could be so scheming. "Get up," Shen Qingyuan said angrily. "From today, you are confined to your own courtyard. You are not to step out without my permission." "Father?" Su Ruan cried. "Don't call me father. I have no such scheming daughter." Shen Qingyuan waved impatiently. "Someone, take her away." Soon, 2 maids came and led Su Ruan away. With Su Ruan dealt with, Shen Qingyuan and Madame Liu's expressions softened slightly. They looked at Lu Yan, their tones somewhat awkward. "Young Master Lu, we're sorry. We wronged you." "Master Shen, madam, it's all right," Lu Yan said. "I know you were misled. Regarding the rumors, we will have people clarify them," Shen Qingyuan said. "We still agree to this marriage." Lu Yan looked at Shen Qingyuan. The two exchanged a smile. Shen Qingyuan knew Su Ruan, though confined, wouldn't give up, but she was no longer afraid. As long as she and Lu Yan worked together, no difficulty was insurmountable. Over the next few days, Shen Qingyuan had people clarify the rumors throughout the capital, explaining it was Su Ruan deliberately framing Lu Yan. Meanwhile, Lord Li also stepped in. He believed in Lu Yan's character, publicly expressed his support, and reprimanded those spreading rumors. With both Lord Li and the Shen estate clarifying, the rumors about Lu Yan quickly died down. Instead, many praised Lu Yan for his integrity and sympathized with him for being framed by a villain.